Definitely. I am so excited to have you here. And I want to tell you kind of why I'm excited. It's because I remember when I moved here in 2019 that I needed some like actual professional help because I was like, I've always done stuff on my own and I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm like, I need professional help. So I was looking up for like an accountant and I came across you and I saw one of your videos. And in your video, you're just like, I'm not going to take any shit from anybody. And like, I'm going to tell everybody what it's like. I don't care. I'm like, yes, I need this type of person to tell me that all my ideas are stupid or what have you. And then we connected and then it was just fantastic because you were just so helpful for everything and so inspirational as well. So just really excited to
I
have
did not
you here.
know that. That's hilarious. Oh, I knew like we connected through website or whatever. I did not know. I'm trying to think of what videos that is, but that's hilarious. So we can swear on this podcast? Like it'd be all the way myself?
You can absolutely swear.
I was going to button up a little bit.
No.
Okay.
Just let loose. Yeah. Yeah. We don't censor here at the Unconventional Mindset or what have you.
I love it.
Yeah. So great to have you here. So yeah, obviously you're an accountant, so you do accounting. Can you maybe, for the people that don't know you here, just describe maybe the types of clients that you serve and the work that you do?
Yeah. I have like fought really hard to stay like specifically in the lane that I always said I would serve, which is individuals and small business. So big clients come our way, the fruit is dangled because it's a really, to me, easy work for high, big return, large checks and whatnot. But I don't do that. We do small, semi-medium, I would even say micro to small, just helping folks, individual finances as well as small businesses, mainly small business. I think that would be what people think I do. But taxes to loans to projections, business plans, teaching them training, like everything small business owners need to be successful in their space is like really the niche I've kind of built out for myself. But I also have like a really huge tax component to my business. I do like 1,200 taxes myself in that short period.
That's a lot of taxes.
Right? It's
Holy
crazy.
Geez. And that's personal tax or corporate
both
tax? Okay.
Personal and business corporate, like in those that like 8 to 10 weeks of the year coming up, like it just go nonstop. It's just like a crazy adrenaline rush from like start to finish. So I'm obsessed with that. I love that. It is. It's around the corner. And then I have like the bookkeeping component, but I have a team for that and kind of client relationship management. I have clients that I just pick that I know they're my people. And then clients that I'm like, you know what? You will probably hate me by the middle of this meeting. So I'm going to take it easy on you and I'm going to give you someone from my team that's a good fit for what it is specifically that you want, because we all kind of specialize in something different. But I personally mainly am tax.
Yeah. Can you tell when you're dealing with clients that they're not going to like you? Because like I said, for me, I love talking with you because you're just going to tell me what it is. But I guess some people don't like that. Really?
Yeah. No. I like have, I don't want to say like different personalities, just a different approach for how I go into every situation. So, someone will reach out and they're like, I want a meeting with Stephanie. And you're like, okay, well, that's my kind of people. They're demanding the meeting. And we'll sit down for 2 seconds. And I'm like, no, you don't. You really don't. No, and I'll still listen and go through like, sort of a templated conversation versus like, when I really am connecting with someone, like that just goes on its own and we figure out our own agenda and how I work into your plan. But the folks that like aren't for me or I'm not for them are typically the people that aren't ready to be called out and have the finger pointed at them for all the problems in their business being their own and the mistakes they made and the things they avoided and the band-aids they didn't rip off. Those hard truths that I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm going to help you with them, but you just might not be ready to hear that the problem is your fault. And I'm just not the person that's going to be like, it's everybody's fault but yours. I have people that do that. Like they'll sit there and they'll be like, yes, I hate CRA. And I hate CRA too. But still, like just because I hate CRA doesn't mean we don't have a tax problem that you created. So I have people that are more gentle than I am, but I have some that like, they kind of take my approach. My son Jonah takes my approach a little bit more. Kim would tell you everything is her fault and she's never even met you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, we have extremes, but I know in a meeting like that I'm going to tell them something and they're never going to come back and they're never going to fix it. So if I can give them someone who's more gentle to get us closer to fixing what the actual problem is, then sometimes, what we could fix right now today will be 6 months from now because I need to help you get there mentally.
That's so crazy for me because as a business owner, you want to know what's not working well in your company and you want to be successful. So why would you be in that mindset to just close your eyes or your ears or whatever and just like, oh, everything's okay.
That's what like a, the successful business owners, like the ones who've like had the experience, taken the hits, gone through the shit, been fired over and over and over, been stolen from, been sued, like all of those pieces, like you're at a point where like, I don't want any more surprises. I don't want any more fires. Like I want to know everything as it's happening instead of 6 months after I could have fixed it in a much better, faster, solution or way. And then you have the people that just like aren't mentally there. They're just still delicate and fragile. They cannot handle it. So you just don't.
Yeah.
I know I'm not, if they're not asking me, I'm not forcing it on them.
Yeah.
But the ones that ask, they get it.
Yeah. And just to be clear too, if we get into it here today, talking about stuff with my business, because I think it'd be a great opportunity for me to ask you a few questions. Absolutely, let it rip. Okay. If you need to lay in on me, tell me all the stupid things that I'm doing, then absolutely do that, because that's how we learn. So, so that's hilarious. So did you always know that you wanted to become an accountant? Like, were you always good with numbers, or how did you get into this?
No. So, okay. First of all, I was not blessed with the gift of being able to spell. So you're kind of like a numbers person or a words person. The words came for me eventually. Like if you follow me on social, you see I love to write now. I ran from writing. And actually in like the 8th grade, I remember, teachers used to force you to read out loud. And I would like skip ahead to like the paragraph that I thought I would be based on her rotation.
When you were going to get called, it's like, you're cutting. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Brownie points when you volunteered. So I would volunteer for the paragraph I knew I was going to be told to do anyway.
Right.
And I just remember that the last time I ever like read aloud or spoke publicly in school was the day, like a day that I had like planned it, got there. And this teacher, Madame Leroy, she scolded me. That paragraph up the whole way. Like I was so nervous. And she made me feel like shit about it. And so I didn't like, go hard in the trying to fix my reading and writing issues. I went with numbers because I felt most comfortable there.
That's interesting. So that scenario
very early
really set you on a trajectory of thinking that you're not good with words.
For a long time,
wow.
like till like 30.
It's amazing the impact that a teacher can have on
crazy.
you. If she was just having a bad
I wrote
day
a big
or whatever.
Piece about her too.
Oh,
but
okay.
No, and it's funny. I wrote it. I don't know if she's still alive to read it or not. But yeah, absolutely. She destroyed. Like I remember the moment where she destroyed my confidence around that piece. So naturally you gravitate towards like something you feel more comfortable, and numbers I was always more comfortable with anyways. So I went that route. My mom's an accountant. So
okay.
I know this is funny. So I did 3 years at SMU, and then I was like, I don't know if I can be like my mom anyways.
Right.
So I quit and I went to hair school, and day one, I was like, this shit is not for me.
Right.
This is not where I'm supposed to be. But like just being young and dumb, I like going against my mom and not wanting to be like her, or I don't know, the competition, whatever. She had me super, super young. So we have like a interesting dynamic on some days. Some days are great. But
like with the age between your mom and...
she's only 15 years older than I am.
Oh,
so,
okay, yeah.
At an age, we're like the same age eventually, right?
Right, yeah.
So I finished hair school, and I never worked in a salon, not one day. I just did my own thing on the side.
So you did end up going through the whole
I went through it, but I knew.
That's like 2 years, I think.
It was only 10 months back then.
10 months.
It wasn't too bad.
I should know this because my mother-in-law actually
does hair.
She used to own her own hair school. She started one back in Ontario. Yeah, it's called Salon Sisu.
See, that I could do. I could own the school.
Right,
I can't
exactly.
go to
the small business stuff. I'll own the school.
Yeah.
But not
exactly.
being it.
So circle back, finish school, take some extra certification courses and diploma type stuff to just like really become an expert in the space. Like I'm going for it.
And in the accounting space.
In the accounting space, yeah. So I was like 28 when I actually graduated. And I graduated on a Friday, literally had a job lined up for a Monday.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
nice,
yeah.
Nice.
So I was mature. I graduated like the head of the class. Like things went good for me.
At 20 years old, I think you have things a little bit more figured out than like if you're 19
I have a
or
10-year-old at that point.
Oh,
like,
okay,
lots of things rushing me through life in a way at that point. So I became a director of human resources. The worst job for me on the planet for a local, actually pretty big local company.
Because that has nothing to do with accounting. That's
nothing.
Just,
but I ran the payroll. It started with running the payroll. So it just morphed into like this huge managing 800 people position. And I like peopling and me like
I feel
in
like
that space.
yeah, I feel like for you it'd be one of those things where you get into a position and then the people at top realize how good you are at certain
That's
things, and
all
then
it
they
was.
put it's like you're so
To
great. Yeah.
just
No,
make
but
me
it's
a
like
manager
you
of
could just
something.
do all kinds of different things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did it for a year just for the resume item.
Yeah.
And then I got a senior accountant position that was phenomenal for 6 years. And it really gave me the space to like really get a lot of experience really quickly.
Is
And
that within the same company?
no, a new
Oh, new
company.
company. Okay.
Yeah. And I was so shitty at the job for the first 2 years, but I had the best boss ever. He just like gave me the space to figure it out. It was like as
Almost like a
close to
mentor.
entrepreneurship
Yeah.
as humanly possible
That's really
in the
cool.
form of a job. And he'd just like, I'd fuck something up and he'd just be like, fix it up, send
Yeah.
it to me Monday.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
he retired and someone took over for him. And it was the worst year of
Oh,
my professional life,
wow.
like all years combined. It was horrific. But it's also the thing, like, if you change anything, you change everything. So without that, I probably stay forever in that comfortable position.
Right, because you were comfortable and you enjoyed it.
Exactly.
At
So
that point, were you thinking about wanting to go on your own, or you just
no, I was like 60 grand, 4 weeks vacation plus 2 weeks off around Christmas because we closed,
Right.
dental,
Yeah.
like medical. My husband's an immigrant, like no pressure to deal with paperwork for him. Like this is
Yeah.
a comfortable position.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had the priorities of keeping my family, you know, afloat. So eventually it just got to the point on like a Sunday night, he sent me a wild text and I was like, I just can't go back there.
Oh my goodness.
I
It reminds
can't.
me of that movie Office Space or whatever with the Lumberg or what. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
I think you
Office
would love
Space.
Office Space because it's
Okay,
a
I need to
guy
watch
who he just hates his job. Like he goes into the office Monday, it's whatever. He's like, I could just feel the boss is going to ask me in on the weekend, and
Yeah.
then he goes through the whole week, has his whole plan, and he gets caught or whatever. It is just a hilarious movie because
I
I
need to
think you
watch
would
it.
relate to that being
Oh.
in a job that you just
Yeah.
you get there and you just hate
But like
so much.
it was like a Sunday night text. You could have waited till Monday. Like
Yeah.
I already know you hate my guts.
Yeah.
You don't want me in the job. Like just ruin Monday. You don't have to take my weekend
Yeah,
from me
no
too.
kidding.
Right?
Do you think that people that do that kind of stuff, they
Oh,
do
it's
it on
strategic.
purpose
100%.
and they target specific people?
Yeah.
Right?
He just didn't know that I'd be smart enough to have had like some things in place ready because I knew that like I knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't his person for that job.
Right.
So I just called the owner who I had like at a point it was me, the 3 owners and one other person that worked there. And then 8 years of growth or 7 years of growth, it looked a little different. But so I know I had a relationship enough with him that I could say like, hey, I'm not going out like this, but your boy is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
took such good care of me. Like he
That's
really made sure that like it was an easy transition, no meetings, no explanations, no mediate and fix it, nothing. Just how do I make this easy? Because I already knew I wasn't continuing.
yeah.
So he just made it so smooth and easy for me. I got a little time off with my family, got a little severance. It was fantastic. And then, you know, the time to like deal with that, heal from it, and then figure out what was next. And then 2019, we start this shit.
Yeah. Oh, so that was, so 2019 was almost when you just first started. So when we
Yeah.
got in touch, that was almost you kind of.
Literally.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing accounting for a long time, but
Right.
not on my own.
On your own. Interesting. So you have that experience of having such a bad boss. I know for me, I had this one experience where it was just absolutely terrible. Where I don't know if you ever had this experience where I had one of my first jobs. I sat in on the first day, and within 2 minutes, like literally 2 minutes, I'm like, this is the worst mistake I've ever made. It was so bad, but I ended up staying for 8 months. I ended up getting fired, and I should have been fired. I wish I would have been fired the first day because it was just one of those jobs where you sit down, you look at the clock, and it's 9:02.
It's crazy how you just know.
It's unbelievable.
You just know.
Yeah, it was so bad. But that being said, I still learned some valuable lessons in that job. So I just want to ask you, so it sounds like you had this huge dichotomy where on the one hand, you had this great boss, maybe mentor, and you learned lots of stuff. But then you probably also learned some stuff
from the jerk too.
From the jerk, yeah. So
I did.
What were the big
question.
What were the big takeaways?
You know what?
I think from your job.
The takeaway from that was that I eventually, like, I wouldn't even say eventually, like as I'm leaving, I know I'm not meant to work for somebody. Like I knew that because I understood the gift that I had in the first boss, that he's not the norm. I'd worked at Dairy Queen and Sport Check and Superstore, Walmart. I had like some bosses. So when I finally got to the boss that I like just really like thank him for my career. I knew he was a gift. So when I'm like, what is my next move? It's like, how do I get to be near someone like him? And they just don't exist, and you don't know going in. So he was phenomenal. So I was like, I just need to be that for others. So I had the boss that I wanted to be, and the boss that I knew I would never create a company culture like he did for me in the less than a year that I worked with him. So yeah, I knew I'd do something on my own. I just had no idea that I'd be, in 2 months, I'm 150 grand away from $2 million in sales.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah. So like, I just wanted to replace my job. That's all I was trying to do.
Yeah.
But then, as I'm competitive, and every time I meet a goal, it's just a new goal.
Yeah.
The goalpost moves.
Like 2 million. It's 20 million now or whatever. Something like that. You could just keep. Yeah. Which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's really good. I think a lot of people do have a hard time getting value from even bad situations, or they don't really know how to deal with it, where they just like maybe internalize it or put it like, oh, it's on me or something. And then they don't use that experience to jump off and grow from it. So,
you have to. Like, they're the things that make you who you are, what you're going to be. Like, how many times do you get knocked down? It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. But I do, like, I genuinely believe that the year with the jerk has a ton of value also in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as the boss prior, but I do think also without that, I'm not here either. I fully recognize that too.
Which is amazing. Yeah. It's the good things and the bad things in life that happen to you. It doesn't matter. It just shapes who you are and where you're going to go. So that's amazing. Okay. So 2019 then started. So pre-pandemic or like during pandemic?
Yeah, pre-pandemic.
So just a little bit before. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I guess when was the pandemic? Was it
March 15th, 2020? Everything shut down.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we had kind of 2019. So
yeah.
There was grumblings. I think there was grumblings.
June 1st. 2019.
Oh, okay.
So I only had like 6 months under the belt.
Okay. So I guess maybe can you walk me through your whole thought process as to why you wanted to start your own business and be your own boss? Well, I mean, I kind of get what you're saying there, but
no. So obviously the first thing is like priority number one, replace the paycheck. So 60 grand was my number in terms of sales and what I wanted to do to stay, exactly where we were. I had a lot of vacation. I had but we didn't even really have hours. It was like 8 to 4, 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 1.
Yeah, right.
Depending on the day. So, and I had a young family at the time too. So, I've got my oldest, he's 23 now, but then I have an 8 and a 9-year-old who, back then would be like 2 and 3, immigrant husband. His mother was also over helping us with the 2 small kids.
That's a lot on your plate.
It is a lot. And my husband's like super traditional too. So like he doesn't enjoy that, that time period in our lives where he wasn't allowed to, he was only allowed to be a professional basketball player based on his like working visa.
Oh, okay.
So, season is only so many months, and then he's a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
And he's a traditional guy. So he's not a stay-at-home dad.
So, like I'm at home and I'm a dad, but
I don't want to be.
Yeah. But like, would he be helping with the dishes and stuff like that? Oh my God,
he's a diaper changer. He did it all, but it's not in his, genetic makeup to be what he would say is the mom and me be the dad traditionally. But, we had to do what we had to do. So I started the business. He helped me. He's like my biggest cheerleader. Like also without him, I'd have never done it either, because I still definitely like was suffering like the self-esteem and like low confidence and like, every small hit or like client like that was slightly unhappy and didn't tell me I was the greatest thing on the planet. Like I would lose sleep over that. And that would go on for like 2 years. But he was the one that would be like, no, babe, you got this. You got this.
It's a roller coaster of emotion, eh?
It is. So the only goal was to replace the income. I did $37,000 in the first year, which would be June 1st to December 31st of that year.
If you extrapolated, it's almost,
right. Because I would have made the other 30K in the job leading up. So to me, that worked. That hit. Yeah. And then, right away, the pandemic hits. I get to work from home. I don't have to deal with childcare. It takes some stress off my husband, feeling like, she's the breadwinner running out and I'm here changing diapers.
Yeah. Did you have an office then when you first started?
Yeah, sorry, that's a lie. I did have an office when I first started. We went to, I worked with this investment guy who, his name's Gorpai. He also put me on. He helped me out in my career too. He gave me a free office for a bunch of years in exchange for like some services. So
Yeah,
he
so
hooked me up. But it like
I have
really,
some money over here that I need taken care of.
yeah, no. That's awesome. But it like helped with the, like, it just made my business look more professional. And like, you know, some people, I've definitely had people be like that, you know, book an appointment, and Jonah does all the appointment bookings, and he'll bring them to the house. It's an apartment, and people are like, oh, I had a girl like actually be like, if you would have said it was an apartment in the beginning, I would have never been interested in working with you guys.
Yeah,
and
there's
we
that
even
perception.
had the commercial space at that time, but I prefer to work out of the house. I was like, fuck her.
Yeah.
But like, you know, someone actually said it. So imagine like how many people didn't say it or wouldn't work with me because of it. So he always made like a space available for me to have, and, you know, having employees in your house at some point gets weird too. Like 8 employees and workstations, and some are in the dining room and some are in the office. The office is only so big. So that gets weird, but he hooks me up. And so I have the office right away, but then we go into COVID and I get to work from home, and, you know, it really opens up this world where everything is on Zoom and you get to be so efficient. You don't have commutes, you don't have drives to meetings, you don't have bullshit lunch meetings where nothing gets discussed and no money is made. Like, it takes all the shit out of everything, and literally every minute of every day is just money making. So
I love it. It's like, I'm just making money.
It was like, I think I did $130,000 in the second year. And I'd had like a little bit of part-time contract help. Like I probably spent 10 or 15 grand on some help, but the rest of it. So I'm like, right away, I'm like, I'm making way more. This is better.
It's like you cut off all your expenses and all the things that take you away from making money and just supercharge it.
That's it. And then in that year, I get recruited to teach for the provincial government and like a bunch of like business associations.
I remember that because I've taken some of your courses. I almost specifically take them just because I know you're in there, because I'm like, well, I don't know if I really want to learn this, but Stephanie's there and I can ask her questions.
I have a following that does that, because there are folks that like couldn't afford to just like, you know, have a 3-hour meeting with me to work through like all their stuff. And I don't want to say couldn't afford. It's that like they don't understand the value in it yet, or that they've decided that their business can't afford it. Like, you know, it's catch-22, right? Like, I get it, but I also don't. So people take the classes to just be in a room with me, and there's, without question, I'll be like, okay, in QuickBooks, you click here, click there, do this. And then, you know, I'll open up the breakout rooms for them to go do their assignments, and I'll come check, and they'll be like, hey, can you help me with this? It has nothing to do with what we're working on. And I'm like, that's awesome.
I was well played, sir. Well played. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Happens all the time. But that forced me, like, I didn't even realize before my first, like my test run for a class is a 4-hour public speaking engagement, basically. And to that point,
they make you do that. Okay.
They do. Yeah. You go teach a class right away in whatever you say your subject matter expertise is. So until then, I had still been ducking and dodging public speaking and reading aloud since junior high.
So you must have been a little nervous then hearing that, eh?
Freaking. The day before, it like hit me that like people are going to come listen to me talk for 4 hours. Like, can I do this? How do I get out of this? Like, not meant for this, not built for this, don't want to do it. And my husband's like, just fucking do it, Steph. Like, just do it. And he like activates the athlete in me, which is
the competitive drive.
Like,
oh shit, I got this.
Yeah. So like, you know, fast forward to 2 Mondays ago, I put in my retirement from teaching. And
did you?
I did. There's only so many hours in a day. Nothing happened. I'm just looking for what's next. I'm comfortable. So that scares me. I don't want to be comfortable.
Never be comfortable. I love it. Yeah.
No, you can't. And I make like 150 G's a year doing these courses, but I work every night and weekends. So, you know, the trade-off is the 80-hour work week, because I make that teaching, but I also make, you know, whatever I make in my business too. But I just want to focus on, you know, what my next move, but also my staff. You know, like there's 8 of them now. And when I look at like all the things that are going wrong and like some of the things that I want to change, I can't do that if I'm not there.
Right.
And if I teach, I'm all in. I'm not like a like, a little here and there kind of girl.
Yeah,
I'm
just
like,
kind of getting them. I'm
dabble.
getting paid, but like,
No.
yeah, those horrible teachers that you had, in grade school
Yeah,
or whatever it
no,
is.
I'm fully committed. So I feel like I'm leaving. And this is gonna be like the most arrogant thing. I say this shit at my house and I pound my chest. Like I do
Right.
all the things,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna say it. I feel like I'm leaving as the standard and the name that will come up when in the rooms when they talk about instructors and what they want things to be like, and the high retention and the most people to complete the courses and the
Yeah.
best feedback, and someone who went above and beyond and really cared and like made everybody's job around her easier. The host organizations I was no problem for, the government people I was no problem for, like
Yeah.
everything that you could think of it like positive to say about someone in that role. I want them, and I know that my name will come up.
Yeah.
And that's the note I want to leave on, because digging deep to find the passion and the energy to do it the way I do it is a lot of work. And I don't ever want to not show up like that.
Yeah.
And because I want to do other things, eventually I'm going to be like, well, if I just didn't teach this course, I could have finished my e-commerce store. But no, I'm in the course. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that conflict with myself will come.
And I could tell you're just really passionate about that, even if maybe teaching might not be the best thing in the world for you in terms of like, this is my pinnacle, but it doesn't matter. You're still putting forth 100% effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I let people email me between classes. I meet with some of them between classes. Like I even had someone, I would say it was like the closest thing to a complaint I had. She said to me a couple sessions ago, she said, every now and again we end a little bit early, but I don't really do breaks. Like I like to just get in and get out. I find the breaks like slow the momentum in my classes. And I know some instructors do like a half an hour break in the middle. I can't imagine coming back or even 20 minutes coming back after that. Like I'm done. I'm checked out, and I know they are on the other end too. So I just try to like whip through it. So it was like 12:16 and the class was supposed to end at 12:30. And she says, maybe you should offer your time to the people for the instead of ever ending early, offer your time to the people for free to help them with their businesses. And it took everything in me not to be like, bitch, no, but to just not say, if we ended early, I would never have an obligation to help you in your business. And that comment, like literally, I almost like said, I'm never helping someone with their business in a class, because I'm just like, I'm like that too, right? Like, because now it's expected. This was like an add-on. This was like me just going above and beyond. But now you're telling me like you believe I owe it to you.
Right.
Oh my God, you're lucky you're still in this class. Even like, and she didn't mean anything by it. She was totally, but there was a way to go about it. But I just need to step away to go to the next thing, because now I see myself being critical of the things that would have never mattered to me before.
Yeah, especially because you're valuing your time so much as well too, and it's like, you're here to teach a course and you want me to do all this extra stuff.
You want me to run your business for you too in this free course?
Yeah. And then what we're saying earlier, so many people don't even like to listen to the advice too.
That.
So, oh geez, well, I'm gonna waste all my time doing that. Anyways,
absolutely.
There's quite a few things that you said there. I just want to back up something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it was really funny. So my uncle-in-law, I guess my wife's
uncle-in-law, I love it.
Is that, yeah. So is that the right thing?
I think so.
I'm so bad at knowing like the family names, whatever. But he was an accountant. He's retired now. He's a really successful accountant. Like he has got tons of money. And I remember calling him up once back in the day, like 2015 or whatever. I was starting a company with a couple of colleagues from the university. And I'm just calling for advice. And I'm asking a question. He's like, oh, hang on a second. First thing, no matter what, don't ever do business with your wife. Don't do it. I'm just like, funny. Oh my goodness. And he was like really adamant, like kind of, maybe joking or whatever. So, but then you say, Andrea helps me here in the business. She helps with the books and all that kind of stuff.
Course.
And she helps, she's going to help with like scheduling and all that kind of stuff, because it's a lot of work to do. And I'm happy, obviously. I love that she's helping me out. And obviously your husband's working with you, and then your son's working with you. So obviously you like it too. So how do you find that working with family?
I think like that family dynamic is super interesting, because I also see people work together, but they also shouldn't even be married. So like you shouldn't work together and you shouldn't be married. But if I have like something in my life, like I definitely am the type of person who a bit needs their own thing. Like there is an ego component. I don't care what anyone says. Like there's I wrote a post about it recently, because I actually saw a friend of mine write a post about like their kid was their why. And I was like, bullshit. Like, what do you mean? You get up and you do this every day for your own ego, because this is like, you want to the luxury to make money at doing what you love on your terms, your way, how you want. Like, this has nothing to do with your kid. You do the hard shit. I worked that job I hated for that year. That was for my kids.
Yeah.
I did that because they needed to eat. This I do for me, and they get to eat because of it.
Right.
But if I live for my family, but what I do for my own is for my own ego. It's entirely, I love, like, I get on a Zoom with someone the other day and she was like, I'm following you on social media. I'll take any class you teach. And I'm like, yeah, keep going. Like,
I love hearing this. Yeah.
Do you guys hear her? Like, the people in the,
hang on, let me record this and post it back up.
Everyone loves to be told they're doing great. And anybody who pretends they don't, that's absolute bullshit. And my husband is my biggest cheerleader. So he's like, it's crazy. Like, the way we hype each other up, like, it's probably like toxic to an extent, because like, we are so fuck the world, but so for each other, in the best way, like marriage, work. Like, he's living in Toronto right now and I'm holding everything down so he can, execute this dream of his with working with the Raptors. Like, I have never said, I can't believe I'm here by myself with all these kids in the business. And like, never. I am like, everything's fine. Every day I'm like falling apart. Everything's fine. Like, I want that for him so bad. Yeah. So and just the way with my business, when it was a conflict for him emotionally that I was the breadwinner, he still was like, get it stuff, fuck him up, like, get him. Like, it's amazing. So like, when you work with family, it got to be family that you would fuck with not at work too. Right. Like, if I have a husband that I wouldn't hang out with, why would I work with them? So when people say things like that, like, I want, like, for my son, I want to provide an opportunity for him. It's weird because it's like catch-22. I want him to go out in the world and get fucked over a little bit so he can come see how good he has it with mom. But then I don't want to shoot up wherever he works because I want to kill the boss for hurting my baby. So, because it's going to happen, right?
Yeah, like, that protective mama bear comes out. Yeah,
so like, there's good and bad to all of it. But I would always, like, my whole goal is to create a business for each of my kids so they never go out to like get damaged by a toxic work environment. I'll be the toxic boss to them. I've earned that. No, but so I feel very differently about it. But I know why your uncle said that for sure. There are families that should not work together, but I also think they shouldn't be together too.
Yeah, no, so. I think I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah, they're not together anymore too. Okay. So I was like, yeah, okay, you can see. Yeah, it totally makes sense. But I really love what you're saying there, is that if you two are together on the same page and working towards the same goal, and you both have that attitude that, it's you and I or us family against the world, which Andrew and I think about that. It's like, all these people are telling us we can't do this or whatever. It's like,
it's the only partner you could have that has the exact same goal as you.
Yeah.
Like, you're taking care of the same kids, the same household. Like, I could go into business with my best friend right now, but she has her own kids. She has her own household, like her own interests. Mine and my husband's interests are exactly the same.
Yeah, they're aligned.
So I wouldn't want to be in it with anyone else. Yeah. No, we see it the same way.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, there's so many different questions I could ask you on here. So when you're talking about creating something for your kids, and you're saying that you kind of want your son to go out on his own, but then you're also kind of worried about that. I guess we're talking a little bit about this earlier. How important do you think it is for kids nowadays to go out on their own and try to figure out what the world is like in terms of getting their own jobs, working with other people? And
it's interesting because they could go out and I didn't understand the lessons of the shitty bosses until I was like 38. So do I waste the time that I can spend developing his technical skill on making sure he appreciates me as a boss by sending him to work at McDonald's or H&R Block or whatever he'd be qualified for, instead of putting in the time to develop his skill to be, the next Stephanie, and put up with a little bit of shit that I wouldn't have to from other employees?
Yeah.
It's a trade-off of that time, because he's starting so much earlier than I did. He's not doing hair school in the middle. He doesn't have any kids yet. Like, he's ahead, and he's actually really, really smart. And the numbers thing is his thing. So you're like, look the other way on the sleeping in and the dress code and the little things, because the technical skill is going to be so important.
Yeah.
And he has the peopling skill too, and people love him or hate him. It's very similar to me, but it's different because it's a different personality type. So some of the people that hate him love me, and vice versa. We
that's
are
interesting.
different personality types, but same interest and skill set with the numbers. So I kind of look at it like, tell him to go get a job somewhere, and he always knows this is here. So the lessons won't be the same. Like I lived on my own at 15. I had to pay rent at 15.
Oh, jeez.
He's still at home at 23, which
Yeah.
I would say live at home as long as you can to anybody, given our, the market here now. So that's crazy. So
that's a good point.
I don't know if sending him out gives the same lessons that I got, because I always wonder, like, I'm going to fuck my kids up because they have privileges and things they don't even understand, like how lucky they are that I never had. But maybe I just see it as lucky because I didn't have it. And if you raise good humans, all that shit is like a non-issue. But the long answer is no. The short answer to my long answer is no. I keep him close to me, and I give them and take care of the everything that he needs to become successful. And if he fumbles it, he fumbles it. But I know I had the best intention in saving him a bunch of years and money.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is as a parent. You try to do the best things that you can with the information you have and see what happens. And it's a conflict for me as well, too, thinking about my kids. And like, part of me is like, go out, get a job and make your own way and do all this kind of stuff that I had to do. But then at the same time, it's like, well, I want my kids to have the best. So I want to be able to teach them as much as I can and stay here and we'll go together. And it's like, how do they get those lessons with not taking the punches in a sense, right? So
I don't mind the punches. It's how do you guarantee they get the same lessons?
Right. Yeah.
And that they bounce back the same way you did. And you can't. Yeah. So I can control my environment. Yeah, so I'm going to keep them in it.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a really good point. So going back to you starting your own business in 2019, did you have a specific nest egg of, some people say like, I have 6 months of, so
nothing.
It's like it's like you, nothing. So you had that fire, was like, I have to make this work.
Absolutely. We had no savings. Like there was nothing. And it's so crazy to me when I think about like, wanting to start my next ventures, and I'm like, I need X amount of dollars. I need this, I need that. And I have other businesses that I work with, and they're, we got $250,000 in loans and they blew it. And I'm like, you built $1 million business from nothing, and then you blew $250,000. Like, it's the whole money thing is crazy. But I really like did it from scratch, like no money. We didn't have I even didn't have money for the software for tax. I had to
my goodness,
get it from my mom's license and like pay her $150 and like just hook off of hers, because it's like $4,000 for accounting. The one of the softwares I use.
Is it like the QuickBooks Professional?
No,
thing,
Profile. It's like tax software for like individuals and corporations and
it's
such.
Like real people tax, not the stuff that us plebs use.
Not the TurboTax DIY stuff. Yeah, like the real like professional stuff. Yeah. So like, and I just sucked it up, and I was like, Mom, how can I get it? How can I use yours? Because I don't have 4Gs to do this.
That's crazy.
I did that with everything.
So how did you start to grow then? Because obviously in the first 6 months you said you made like 37K or whatever. Yeah. So what was did you have a specific marketing plan? Or
I have only spent $800 on marketing my entire business.
That's amazing. Okay.
I put a billboard on the Bedford Highway and one on the other side of the Dartmouth Bridge just be like, I'm here, bitches.
Like that big billboard?
Like a real billboard. Yeah. I did that in 2020 because they were cheap. Like the Pattinson or whoever does the billboards was calling businesses.
Oh, really?
And because people were not spending.
Is it cheap? How cheap?
So I got two for $800. Two for $800.
Yeah, $800, right.
Now one is like $2,500.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So I've not done it since, but they called us and I was like, done. I don't even have any professional photos or logo, but I will get that to you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So my husband was just like, I just stood against a white wall in our house. He took the picture. He made the logo. We sent it off.
Away you go.
Yeah, it was done.
Did it work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The billboards were amazing. It was like my second most liked post on anything ever. My husband getting the job at the Raptors crushed me in anything I've ever done on
So-
likes on social.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah, I
so we
see.
posted the billboard on social,
Okay.
and it did catapult things. Like, it did add a level of professionalism that like you probably don't expect from someone working out of their home. But to answer your question, I had worked out a contract with an investment consultant. I mentioned him earlier, that he would feed me all of his business and I would do it like dirt cheap, but it was guaranteed income
Yes.
and experience. Like, he took a chance on me. He knew I was just starting. He was going to fuck a bunch of stuff up and he was going to give me space to do that. And he still is amazing in that way. So he's dope. But basically I just went to sniff out where I could some guaranteed income, and then really started with the one-offs and the, projects with people I didn't know and such. So,
right.
I definitely use my network to help me get started.
Okay. So for okay, I got a lot of questions to dive in here. So as someone that works with a lot of different entrepreneurs, because you probably have so many small business, because those are your clients. So what is it that you see? Maybe we'll stick to maybe the positive sides here. What are the things that you see that people do that kind of make for like a successful business?
Ooh, have a plan. So the folks that there are some humans in this world that can just wing it and they always land on their feet. And there are also a ton of my husband is one of those.
Okay,
he lands on his feet, not me. I can't function without like a plan. So when I see someone come in with like a plan that involves like the financial piece and it isn't just like pretty fluff on Canva like that, I can tell that they've thought this through. Or the hockey
stick thing is going to come in and it's like, because everyone could do that.
No, right. Like when they talk about their plan and how they're going to execute, it's like music to my ears. Like, I already look at this person differently and know that in a year we're going to be actually having a different conversation about like how their life has changed and how they've grown and how they've like, they're laughing at last year's plan now because they crushed it so well versus like, the folks that come in with the plan and they're the same plan every year for 5 years and then they got a job somewhere because the execution piece is lacking.
Okay.
But those people that execute, that just like find a way no matter what. You get knocked down, you get back up, you get knocked down, you get back up, and there's one win for every 50 losses. Those people that like can take it on the chin, they don't just come to my office as an opportunity to vent and hope that I can solve their problems. They want to hear themselves talk about the solutions to their own problems and me non-smile and tell them that everything's going to be okay and they're on their way. It doesn't matter what I say. Those people are the ones that are going to make it. I help them with the numbers. Obviously they don't do tax and whatnot, but they don't need anything I say.
Right.
Those people are monsters.
Yeah. I've been hearing this quite a bit from the people that I've been talking to since, starting this podcast. It was just fantastic because I love to just kind of soak up the knowledge. But this whole idea of execution, it seems to be like everyone's saying this, like, I don't care, even if your idea is not that good, if you can execute on something, you'll find people that'll pay you money or whatever the case may be.
You will. Like I'm branching out, like we're about to do something different, like very different. And I'm working with some different contractors and shit. And like a week or so ago, like there was some conflict between the contractors and how I was managing everything. And eventually I just got to where like, I got to be honest, I could give a fuck about your feelings. You ever text me again on a Friday afternoon about your feelings?
Oh,
about like it like awoke the beast and like my response, my assistant, or I call it, she's not my assistant, she's the manager of everything in the business, but she's like my right hand. She was like, I'm so glad you showed them the teeth stuff because that shit was pissing me off too. Like just nothing was getting done. The whole point is that you're talking to me about your feelings. You haven't delivered shit. I've paid you this much money. I haven't seen a thing. Don't talk to me about your feelings. Show me something and shut me up.
Right.
Like that is genuinely how I feel about it. But like if you're getting paid thousands of dollars to do something, or you think you're worth thousands of dollars and then you don't put anything in front of anybody, you don't deliver, it's not up to you if you're worth thousands of dollars. We're up to the person who's going to pay it.
Yep.
So at this point, to me, you have no value whatsoever and you're trying to tell me how to act or how you want to be treated. And no, absolutely not. So that to me is it's such a red flag. Like, I know your business is going to stay micro for a very long time, or you're always going to have to work a job and do your business because you're trying to check me or, give me boundaries when you're just starting and you haven't done shit.
Wow.
Like, make me need you.
Yeah.
That's how you execute.
Yeah. That's crazy. Can we, are you open to talking kind of about what you're going to be moving on? Okay. But before, we'll just put that on the shelf just for now, because I just want to ask you kind of the opposite question. I mean, I guess it could almost be what you're saying right now, but what are the things that businesses do that that you look at them and like, you know what? Yeah, you're not here in 12 months.
Yeah. Oh, it's almost like I can smell it in 30 seconds of hearing you talk. And when you talk about that you started a business to control your life, to control your hours, to have no boss, to, for it to be easier to work from home, when you started your business for you, instead of started your business out of this passion to do what you do for others, that's where you fucked up. And I would love to say I work 9 to 5, and I probably could, but my earnings would be less. I would have to cut back on my team. I'd have to make a ton of concessions. I wouldn't get to take 10 or 12 trips. I didn't even know last year how many places I went. That's a dope ass thing to have, like to be able to say that, I hopped on a flight whenever I wanted, but I also worked basically every minute of every day. And I never, ever am looking to find where I put the boundaries in. Like that shit doesn't live in entrepreneur. That's employees and HR departments. You guys work through that shit about boundaries and treatment and all that. You do that over there. But over here, I have however many clients I have, that's how many bosses I have. And however many contracts I take, that determines how many hours I work. And whatever I commit to or promise to deliver, that also determines whether I work nights, overnights, weekends, back shift, all that shit, all the time.
And you decide that.
You decide it, but you take that on. But there's a few startups. I still consider myself like I would say I'm in the scaling space at this point. Like I'm moving out of startup,
you're
moving
in
into
7
scaling.
digits, I think. You're getting to that point.
Fair. Okay. So, but you do and you don't though too, right?
Like 100%.
Because I don't have my systems. I'm not where I want to be. So, when you're still, until you're where you want to be, which I feel like that will always change as I'm growing. I just don't consider myself there. I will do what needs to be done to get to where I want to be. And that's the piece that's missing in the folks that do this because it looks cute on Instagram.
Yeah. So I hope the people that are listening here that, because I know I do talk with lots of wannabe entrepreneurs and people that are just starting out, is that you have to figure out the right reasons for why you're doing something and to know that it's not going to be easy. And you have to know that you're going to have to work really hard and just really be motivated to provide that value to that client.
It's always like hard to talk about that too, because you don't want to come off as like the condescending entrepreneur because I've done this or this, like I know better than you. I just know for sure that I have access to a lot of entrepreneurs, and the ones that are the most successful are the ones that don't talk about nights and weekends and bosses and the cushy piece of thinking that this was going to be easier. It doesn't even come up. We don't ever, no one says, oh, it's 5, we're off. Like I got 3 text messages from entrepreneurs on Christmas Day and none of us think about it. Like one of them sent me hey, thinking about doing this. Like she's hopped out. I actually texted a contractor because I needed painting done on Boxing Day. Yeah. I was like, you don't have to read this. It's up to you. Yeah. My apologies. I'm an entrepreneur and I got to get it out of my brain when it's come up for me and when I have time. If you want to work tomorrow, I got money for you. And he hit me back immediately.
Oh, especially with a statement like that, for sure.
Yeah. He said, what time should I be there?
Yeah.
He never left me on red and then got back to me after the holidays. Sorry, I was on vacation. No, his ass was there. And I paid him extra, not because he asked me to, but because I respected the hustle. Like I love that he hit me back.
Yeah. And that's, right? I do remember too, again, the first meeting we ever had was I hit you up and then we had to get our first meeting. And I'm like, yes, this is my person because it was on a holiday.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was Remembrance Day, I think. And I'm just like, this is perfect because I'm working. She's working.
Yeah, of course.
It's a holiday. It's like, there's no holidays. It's like
the phone doesn't ring those days. Like those are the best days for meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. Or for meetings. So yeah. Oh yeah. It's awesome. So no, I love it. So yeah, there's one thing too it's really kind of interesting because I do follow and watch like these millionaire entrepreneurs or whatever, these gurus, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
And
me too.
It's fun. Yeah. So a lot of them say they talk now like work-life balance and they're like, oh, I have this balance. The one thing I find that's maybe disingenuous is they don't talk about how they actually got to where they are. It's like they make now I have $100 million. Now I have work-life balance. But did you really have that when you first started? Like,
Impossible.
Let's be real, right? Like to get to where you are, you
Yeah.
were working those 16
I'm
hour
not
days
buying
and
it.
you were hustling and you were getting your shit
I
done.
actually think I don't follow anyone that talks about work-life balance because I think
There's
it's different for
that do,
everyone.
but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's different for everyone. And I think that the measure is if you're happy. Because if I work a 15-hour day and I'm like, fuck, I didn't see my kids, I fucked up. Like I never feel that way. I do what I finish my list, do what I promised everyone I would do, and then I forego the social life and I go be with my kids the minute I leave the office to the minute I have to go back.
Yeah.
And it's weird the way my kids talk about it. They're like they get it. Like they aren't like, they never say, I wish you didn't work so much so you could spend more time with us. They say things like, I like going to Mexico, Mom.
Yeah, no kidding.
Are we going to Mexico? Are we going
Yeah.
to see Dad? Are we going to New York at Christmas time? Like, they get that, but I don't go crazy. Like there's time every day for my kids.
Oh, of course.
The weekends with my kids, like I take them to work with me whenever I can. But like there's a piece of me that like I just can't turn off, and I would not be happy if I wasn't doing this. So they get the best version of me because I'm happy at home and I'm happy at work.
While you're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever get that feeling? I get this all the time where you decide that, oh, you know what? I'm going to take a day and kind of not do anything. And it'll get to like noon. I'm like, this fucking sucks. I need to do stuff. It's like, screw this. I'm just sitting there doing nothing.
People ask me all the time, why do you teach a class every Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 a.m.? I will be up at 5 regardless. So I might as well. And those classes are jam packed because those people are working full time and doing other things.
Is
so
it the same classes?
I'm teaching QuickBooks on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Yeah. And like they're over capacity, both of them. And I have the utmost respect for someone who's going to get up at 8 a.m. But I would not be sleeping in otherwise. So when people are like, you should rest and you should balance, dude, I will just be up doing something else. So I might I might as well do this. Like then I know I've worked for a little bit of the day and then I take the rest of the day with my kids and I feel balanced. I've done some work and I've spent time with my kids. That's balanced to me.
Yeah.
I haven't slept in I don't know, maybe 7 a.m. would be the latest I've slept in 4 or 5 years.
That's great though. If you're consistent with your like nutrition and sleep and stuff is really important to me. But like if you're going to bed at roughly the same time and you wake up at the same time,
I do.
You just have your own rhythm.
Absolutely.
Then that's fantastic.
Yeah. No, I don't do like the 2 a.m. and like if I teach at night, it's over at 9:30. I literally like directly to bed after the fact. But
so you're getting great rest
8
anyways.
Hours. Yeah, I have to. Yeah. No, I sleep, but I don't sleep in.
Yeah. And I think that's a really, that's a really good point right there. And if you're, again, these new entrepreneurs that are just starting out, if you have it in you to be very disciplined and when you're awake, you're working and you're working with purpose and you're just going towards that goal, you have a plan, right? You're writing it out and you know what you're doing. And then when you have the time with the kids or you're sleeping, then you're just very deliberate in what you do.
Oh, yeah.
And there's plenty of time
I'm
in
never
the day.
like in the dining room with my kids on my laptop. Like if I'm in the dining room, we're like making cookies and whatever, hanging out. Like they love to be served like the house is a restaurant. I'll do that.
Oh, it's amazing.
But I don't do the shared, like we have an office in the house. If I'm in the office, they know I'm working. If I'm not in the office, they know I'm theirs.
Yep.
So it's like really deliberate, really specific. I don't do laptop in bed. Very much. I would say like once a month or something.
Yeah,
I'll
if
be
something
like,
is really critical maybe.
Yeah,
or...
let me just check this, check on this. But I'm not like working everywhere in my house.
Yeah.
Like
I love it.
I
love there's just boundaries and to be present in the moment too, especially with the kids too. They're only going to be small for a certain amount of time too. Like my kids 18 and 16. I'm like, it's
crazy.
What happened?
Right?
How did that happen?
My oldest turned 23 last week. You're like, what?
Yeah, what's going on?
You make me a grandmother. No, right? Like, no.
But you'd want to be a grandmother at some point? Oh, not at all, eh?
Not for like 10 more years.
Oh, okay.
I need 10.
Okay.
I need 10.
Okay. Well, for Jonah, I guess he's 23. He's young. He's a young pup though. So
33, first kid. I hope he waits 10 years.
Yeah.
I want him to like go through I just want him to focus on like developing the skill that he has naturally and just like beast moding through it.
Especially for men right now too, days, if you just teach them, work on yourself, work on your skills, develop yourself as a person, be successful. And then when you get to that prime age of 30 to 40 even, the girls will just be, you'll just be swimming. You'll just be swimming in girls. So one thing I'm trying to teach my son as well too is, like you have to, like it's hard. Like, well, he's 18, like getting a girlfriend, it's like, so difficult at that kind of a young age
Yeah.
for kids. But anyways, yeah, you got to work on yourself. Anyways, we'll leave that aside here for now. So your business, so you started 2019. It's just growing really, really well and steadily. It sounds like you've just had a lot of word of mouth because you're working so good, because you're providing all that value to clients. That's just kind of fueled your growth up to now, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think like putting myself in rooms, like I never approached it like, this is another like faux pas that I see people starting out do, is that they put a value on their time right away, and so they won't do anything that doesn't have that dollar figure associated with it. So I did tons of free workshops. I did tons of free work. Period. I put myself in rooms that like I did speeches and delivered presentations for organizations that I just knew entrepreneurs would be there. My clients would be there. And that I'm likable. So if I just get in a room where I talk just enough expertise, let them know I can do it, and they like me, done. So I just gave away time over and over and over again to prove that I'm an expert and that, I'm your person. So but my website also is very well done in the like SEO piece in the back end. So we get lots of cold stuff, but I say it's cold, but I do think that we don't always know that someone is looking for me specifically.
Right.
But I literally just gave it away until like now I'm in a position where like it's hard to give anything away because it takes away from how much work I have to do for the paid stuff.
Yeah,
right. So
for sure. But it's putting money in the bank too, like getting those connections and building that network.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah,
It's
you're not getting the
investment.
money right now, but you'll get it done.
Right.
So to be a little selfish here, I'm going to ask you, because that's one of the things that I want to do. It's like, I want to, like, I'm just thinking, can I throw out free classes? How do I teach people like web? Like I know my stuff about web stuff.
Yeah.
I'll teach people how to make videos or whatever. How can someone like me that wants to get out there and wants to get people to know who I am, how would I go about doing that?
That's a good question. So I would work with organizations like Seed or any like of the business associations or somewhere where there's a following of people who are starting their business. I don't feel like your market is necessarily startups.
No,
though.
not particularly. I'm going,
Yeah.
but I still would like to just be known as the guy that really knows the stuff about
Yeah.
like web design or
Yeah.
content creation, right?
Wherever your client is, you deliver something that gets their attention, and it's got to be free. It has to start with them just getting to know you. It's wild to me to go in a room and someone's like, knows who I am and I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
That's dope. But it came from like just being in rooms and spaces of giving it away, chasing it, like DMing people, putting out like weird content. Now I look back, I'm like, what was that? I didn't even know what I was talking about. But also, the teaching, like just being in front of 12 people to 15 people on the daily who need help with something. But like being out there, honestly, just being out there.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to figure that out because I love teaching. I love interacting with people. So, and one of the reasons I started this podcast too was just to start talking to people and start just having those conversations.
It's good. And then like you leverage whoever you're talking to's network as well. Like they're going to share it. They're going to put it out too.
Yeah.
So, I obviously teach, you teach, and people know I'm not going to teach anymore. So maybe like some of who I used to teach is going to come to you or would have came to you anyway. Like they're probably sick of me. Like who knows? But aligning yourself with folks who are already doing it. I don't actually have any accounting friends whatsoever, but
interesting.
I know, right? I don't play nice well with others. I don't play well with others. No, I'm just a loner. Like that's my vibe is like, my family is my friends. Like my under my roof is my circle. Like that's just how I operate. But I did align myself with investment consultants because it's like not conflicting whatsoever. Like they can't do tax and I can't do investment. So we kind of need each other.
You work well together. Yeah. It's like the peanut butter and jelly or whatever.
Yeah. So I just figured out who my like counterpart that I could like, help add value to their business. And I found a couple of those relationships early on. And that was like my in. And I don't use that strategy necessarily anymore, but those relationships that I had from 2019 and 2020, I still have. But I do it differently now.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it kind of comes to me a little bit more
I
now.
would imagine so. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're getting to that point where you're so busy that
Right.
you're turning people away now, right? Because you can kind
Yeah.
of
Or
more
I don't
pick and
answer
choose
them
what your
fast enough,
yeah.
so they
Well,
hate me.
well, it is true. Like I will say too, because I was talking to Andrea, I'm like, "Oh, I love Stephanie, but she's doing so well now. She's just like impossible to get a hold of.
No, that's
But
it.
and I understand it. I know why, because like you have
Yeah.
more important people to talk about than
No,
me. So.
it's so not that, but that is like some of that feedback is why I want to take a step back from teaching too, because whether you get me or you get whoever on my team, I should have a team of people that are more mini Stephanies than I do right now. So they can only learn that if I spend the time with them. So giving them more me to help them be successful in their career goals, because they aren't going to get there without me. I am the person at the helm. So I know they need some Stephanie time. So
but the thing even for me too, and I would imagine other people too, is that if they're going to work with you, like your business, it's not even so much that every single day I have to interact with you, just to know that you and your team is on my team.
Yeah.
That's
for
that's
sure.
all that's what really matters.
No, but I get the emails that are like, hey, so-and-so recommended you. And then like I might take like 4 or 5 days to answer, because like that onboard in the discovery period is, sometimes slow. And, I might like be able to creep them for 2 seconds and be like, why the fuck would they send you to me? I already know I don't like you.
I don't even know you, but
like why would they think we're a fit for each other? But and then I get a second email before I've even emailed them once. It's like, clearly I'm not important to you. I'm like, great that you figured out that we're not good for each other. I'll peace out. And then I just don't even engage. But
and especially if it's for like $100 tax return or something like that. It's like, oh, come on. I don't have time
all
for that.
best, if it was like a big ticket thing and like something I just really wanted to do, but I would like apologize and just be like, bro, my bad. Like it's to be honest, like this is the standard turnaround time. Like it is slower. It's also standard in the accounting space.
Is it really?
It is that we be slow. If you think about like how technical it is what we do, when you get into like, this space, like I'm in tax mode right now, let's say, if I stop your tax return, do you want me to stop your tax return to answer someone's email and come back and hope that I remember everything I've done and what my great thoughts were about how to help you? No, you want your work to be uninterrupted. You want my undivided attention on the technical work for your business. So
makes a lot of sense.
The phone ringing and the emails, like it is what it is. We do our best to manage, but like we get people that call and they're like, hey, I was on your guys' website. Can you give me 5 things about capital gains that I should watch out for when I'm doing my own tax? No.
People just send you an email asking for that?
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of like ChatGPT or Google? Like
if you're doing your own tax, you got to answer your own questions too, right? Like we're not just a free resource, but you like that happens daily. So the inbox, like I get about 100 emails a day, and it can be like, a 911, a fire, bullshit, class participants, my team, like, you got to stay the time that I have dedicated to work on technical work and the time I have dedicated to do emails. There's only so many hours in the day, and that kind of is what it is. You do your best with it. And we're trying to be better at it, but I've definitely worked with other accountants, like for clients and stuff, and they don't even answer you at all.
That's crazy. Yeah.
They're like, I send you 10 emails and you send me back whatever was your part in the job. Like there's no communication whatsoever. So I think we do it a little bit better, but I know we could do better. But also there will always be that conflict of how technical it is what we do and the attention required to focus.
And it's part of growing too. I think you said too, you're still trying to put some systems in place as well too, right? So it will come. Yeah, for sure.
But it will never be like 15 minutes. Like,
of course. Yeah, of course. I don't think anybody expects that much,
No.
but if you do get it,
Some do.
it's nice.
No.
Some
like hit you with
sure
the email and then they Facebook Messenger you and then they call to ask if you saw their email. They're like, bitch, I saw all of it.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah. Can you take a hint? I'm trying to.
Right?
So this is a good segue maybe to ask about where you're going now, right? So you're talking about some contract stuff, but anyways, what's exciting you these days, and what are you working on?
Yeah. So what I'm working on, I'm not gonna say like a whole lot.
Okay.
Like, I've definitely been talking about like going in the e-commerce space. So product based businesses because I don't have any more time to sell. So the only way to grow sort of, because I'll just be lateral at this point, it's whether I'm doing tax, teaching, or consulting, I don't have more hours. So to focus on something that actually can make money when you're sleeping, which is, the true definition of, to me, the end game for entrepreneurship, where you don't have to do all the work.
The truly passive income.
Right.
Not truly, but
yeah.
I know what you're saying.
No, exactly. So definitely have e-commerce stuff coming down the pipelines. And then teaching will be just done a different way because it's very like near and dear to my heart, but I'm going to do it different.
Okay. So I have a feeling I know what you're getting at, because I think I remember talking to you, or I don't know if I talked to you or I said
I
it.
think we did. Yeah.
I'm like, you need to do this because this is going to make you a whole ton of money. So I will say, like, if you're ever going to go into the route, courses or whatever, if you ever need any help doing the video stuff, I think I offer this to you, like, no charge, whatever. I got all this equipment, gear.
I love it.
You want to record some stuff? We could set up a nice studio somewhere, whatever, even at your place. Do some amazing stuff.
So be ready.
So yeah, I'm absolutely ready to go.
It's coming.
Because creating a product and being able to, like you said, just have it available and people could download
even
the course.
Like the course is already, like, the bones of it are done for the first one, and like it's funny because it's an investment on my part, like, to put it together and the time that goes into it, and still, like, wanting the quality to be there. But I envision it as a $99 course of all the shit you need to know to do when you start from, like, the CRA and, like, financial standpoint, like, with templates and, like, just a bunch of stuff. $99 because it's for, like, the folks that decide that they can't afford my time, or that time with me they wouldn't know what the hell they're doing after I tell them what they need to do anyways. Just like a self-paced, like, literally $99 just to help you get started. And then we'll go into, like, strategy and, building businesses and things like that eventually. But the first one is, like, just me trying to make sure that even though you can't get to me, through courses the same way that a lot of people do now, that I still have something for you.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I have there's so many things, but I know you kind of maybe want to keep it on the down low or whatever, which I respect. So I guess I won't poke and
it's
prod
not the
too
down
much,
low.
but
I don't like to speak about things that aren't done. So if I had my course deck in my pocket right now and I was, like, just hiding launch dates and shit, like, you wouldn't be able to shut me up. But I never like talking about things that I haven't executed. I like sitting on it because I don't ever want to be known as a talker. Like, everything I say, I do or have done.
There's, like, that guy that's like, oh, here, what's this new next business or whatever, talks and talks, but never actually executes on anything.
Oh my
it's
God.
Just like,
no, that can't be me.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So quitting, like, teaching is the first step to, like, freeing up the time to, like, execute. But, like, these businesses are all, like, incorporated. The business plans are done.
Oh, I'm so excited for you because I know
it's coming.
It's like you're going to make. So you're going to be at that 8-9 figure so soon because, like I said, you have the personality, you have the knowledge, you have the skills to teach, and, like, people are going to
Thank you. It's funny because it comes from, like, yes, I want to make money in my sleep, but I really, really want to have a business for each kid. And also, like, each business is, like, it sort of has, like, one of my kids' personalities, like, what I think they would love. But, like, they get their passions and such sort of from the environment that they're raised in. So, like,
absolutely.
I might think that they just love this shit, but it's because I love it. I don't know, but I just like the game.
But that's okay.
I like the game. Like, I want to start. I want to try. I want to start from scratch, see if I can do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm that competitive.
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you find, though, that if you already have an audience and you've already been successful in business, it just makes the next one that much easier because you kind of already know the game. It's almost like having a cheat sheet because those successful business owners or serial entrepreneurs, it's like they make one and then the next business they launch, it's like, I made 10 million the first 6 months. Like, fuck, like, it's crazy, right?
I don't know that I have, like, an audience that I could, like, measure. I'm learning that people do seem to know who I am, though. It's just, like, weird for me because, like, I only have, like, 2,000 followers on Instagram and I think something like 4,000 on Facebook.
But if it's, like, 2,000 people that listen to everything you say,
it's a little different.
Perfect.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
I wouldn't say that, like, that's the clear sign, like, that the next two are going to be successful. I think that the guarantee in them being successful is that I'm just built for this and there's no way I don't win.
Right.
Like, that's just, I just don't play to lose.
I might get knocked down 100 times, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to get up 101.
I just freed up some time to make sure I had time to get back up. because
Yeah.
there's no chance that you don't get punched in the gut 100,000 times on the way. So
Oh,
I
that's
just need to
amazing.
have time for it.
That's such that's so amazing. I just love the attitude. Um, if you can we talk a little bit about? Can I ask you a few questions
Go
about
for it.
what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
So, obviously, I asked you about small business loans because I've always been the type of entrepreneur. Like, you know what? I'm my own guy. I don't need any help. I'm just going to do it myself. And I got all the skills. I could do it all. And slowly but surely, things kind of grow, whatever. But I feel like I've been doing it kind of like for 10 years on and off with these different things. And it hasn't really gotten the success that I've wanted to get. So then I'm thinking, you know what? A lot of these entrepreneurs now, they're talking about, get some extra cash, just be able to accelerate the process. So I'm starting to think, okay, maybe if I could leverage some cash, then maybe that might be a good thing to do as long as I have a plan in place that I can figure out how I can grow. So maybe
Of
what
course.
what are your thoughts on that in terms of my trying to change my mindset about this?
Of course. So the first thing I heard in there that would be like a slight flag for me when you're, or not flag, but like a sign that like when you're saying you're not where you want to be, was that you said 10 years on and off. Like every time you're off, you're starting over again from scratch. Like these people don't wait for you. They find somebody else. So it actually is almost like a setback because the people you had are harder to get back from wherever they've gone while you're off. So the on and off thing is a it's a way to kill your business quickly.
Right.
So
if I could just say real quick, I guess it doesn't
defend
mean
it.
It's, no, I'm not definitely not defending. You're absolutely right. But it's not on and off in the same business. It's like I tried something and then that didn't work.
Even more
and then
then
try something else.
Even more so if you're doing different businesses, because you haven't had the one that is your blueprint yet that like fed your family the way that you want, gave you the life that you want, and you love doing it. The balance thing didn't even come up. Like everything was taken care of. You don't have that one yet.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, I've been doing this for 2 years now and I've been able to feed my family and everything. And I love what I'm doing. And it's,
so you have it now.
Yeah.
But in the 10 years, I would only say that you've been doing it for 2. This one 100%. For 2, right? Like you gain some skill and some of the shit that you had to beforehand, but I would treat that as equivalent to having worked the job. Like it was something you went through to get here to the one that works now. So then when we talk about loans, it's a real sensitive subject because I know I can get someone a loan and ruin their life, that they're going to fuck this money up. And I've been a part of that. And it was, beforehand, I didn't know that, that was what was going to happen. My job was to get the loan.
Right.
So I check the boxes, execute the contract. And then I see, a few months later that like, they're laying their staff off. There's a lien on their home. And like that shit does not feel good. It actually is like gut wrenching for me to have known I was involved. I also know that like there's absolutely nothing I could have done differently because I didn't spend the money.
Well, of course. It's out of your hands, but you still feel guilty because you helped them.
Right. I thought I was helping them. I thought I was helping them.
Yeah.
Right. And now in retrospect, like they've gone backwards. So I hate that piece of it. Though, all I can do is, vet differently. And I do like have like real deep discussions about like how a lot of times these, loans make shit way worse. So when I help someone with a loan now, we have usually have a requirement that, they work with us when the money comes into, or like they just make sure I feel somewhat comfortable that they have something in place, an internal bookkeeper or another accountant that's going to help them manage the money to make sure that it gets, dispersed properly. Because a loan should never be taken out when you're already up and running to cover operating expenses. If you take a loan out to cover rent and employees' wages, your business already doesn't work.
Right.
So you're prolonging the inevitable. And that was the mistake that I made for, 1 or 2, was that I believed they needed the money to invest to grow. And then in fact, they took the money to cover operating expenses.
Did they lie to you?
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say lie. I believe they believed what they were saying.
Okay. Yeah.
I do. And they didn't know their numbers enough to know that they weren't profitable or they weren't, spending the money properly. They were overspending here and you weren't chasing revenue. Like I think that they just didn't know their business well enough to not know what they were saying didn't actually make any sense. So I don't want to say they lied. I want to say they didn't know better.
Okay.
And, now when I do the vetting and such, like we have an entirely different process around, what that looks like. Would I still do it even though I know that someone might fuck it up? Probably not, to be like fully honest. So like, someone like yourself, I think that like you would manage it properly. Like this is meant for investment, meant for growth, meant to ultimately increase the amount of money you're going to make. This should not be a setback in any way. That loan payment shouldn't scare you one bit.
It's like,
because you're going to flip it to cover that easily. It's what's the book? The Rich Dad,
Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Robert
His
Kiyosaki,
motto on debt like is crazy. This is good debt.
Yeah.
But
he's pretty great because he's like, I'm $2 billion in debt. It's like, okay, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah,
I get what he's saying.
Extreme.
I was like,
he's
okay.
Extreme. But I enjoy listening to him.
Yeah.
He has a lot of like amazing points around his thought. He's extreme though.
Yeah, of course.
But I am all for loans as a tool for your business. That's it. It's a resource. It's something to make things happen maybe faster than having to save the capital. I got a $5,000 loan in like 2020 because I didn't want to pay my mom for her software anymore.
Oh, okay.
So I got a loan for the software, but right away that $4,000 software is going to make me, tens of thousands of dollars. It made sense. I had my own license. I'm a business. Like it isn't just about my mom. Like I should have my own shit.
You should have
like it's ridiculous.
For sure. I mean, nobody knows behind the scenes, but it's
It's like just that. Because I don't care. Every entrepreneur has an ego that they deal with, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I need my mom. Fuck that. Like she's my mom, but like I got my own house, my own shit to take care of. So I got that loan, and then in October of 2024, I got a $60,000 line of credit to buy another accounting firm, and the revenue was $80K and the loan was $60K. So I made my money back in the year, and now it's just straight profit.
Right.
But I didn't want to take my cash to do that, like that chain that's operating cash versus investment cash.
Mm-hmm.
So I also I believe in loans and I use them myself, but they're not for everybody.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is good. It's like I've been thinking a lot about it, and it seems like it makes a lot of sense, but I'm still even nervous about myself, which is why I want to talk to you and just make sure that you can smack me straight if it's not going to work or if I'm not in the right track. One thing that I'm having a little bit of difficulty wrapping my head around is how do I structure, because I want to pivot a little bit of what my business is doing, because I'm doing websites now and I have my clients and it's making in money. I haven't tried to get any new clients for probably like a year and a half now, because I've been trying to figure out what's the next thing that I kind of want to pivot, because I feel websites is almost like trading time for money in a little bit of a place.
I get it.
So I'm like, number one, I want to do this podcast. I want to grow this podcast into the biggest podcast in Canada and then beyond. It's going to be amazing. I'm super looking forward to it. But I also like the content creation aspect of it. And I've been thinking about, there's no real place here where anybody can go to record their own content and do it professionally. So people that want to have online courses, or people or companies that want to create social media content, they just don't know how to do it. And it's very expensive and time consuming to learn all that kind of stuff. And maybe I can even help teach people. But anyways, I'm thinking of those two angles and I'm not sure what makes the most sense to try to figure out what to do. But I do know that if I go on those, it's probably going to take some type of capital to help me kind of get going and get started. I mean, I have this nice place here, but I don't know, having like that professional studio or whatever place where I could do more things, I don't know, it might make more sense. So, but maybe I need to validate first. I don't know. That's why I'm just.
I get like where you're going with it. And I like the crawl before you walk. I would absolutely see if you had interest for people to come here first. This is already here. Like if you can't make money in here, you're going to have problems out
for sure,
there
100%,
too.
100%.
So like testing your own theory, like try and shit first before that big investment. Like this office that I'm in now, I'm going to be 6 years in business on June 1st, is the first time I've ever paid commercial rent. And I hustled for the rent that I have. Like I like just the thought of that like overhead and it's an expense.
Yeah.
But it also is an investment in our level of professionalism and housing all of the people that work for me and creating an environment for productivity. Like it really had to get to the point where what I had could not take care of what we were doing. So our needs weren't met as a business. So it forced me to get an office. But this space isn't rented out 24/7 to where like you're run off your feet and now you don't want people in your house. I got to that point where I was like, if one more motherfucker knocks on my door at Saturday at 4:00 in the afternoon, this is my house, like my apartment. Like they get in, I'm on the 3rd and 4th floor and knock on the door. You're like, what are you doing? But we were at capacity. Like they were like, people were just coming in droves. Like it's fantastic. I had to outgrow what I had before I let myself spend that couple of dollars to get what's next.
That makes perfect sense to me. I love that. And that to me speaks to me like that's kind of the way I want to go in the sense of why go out there and put myself at risk, I guess, by taking out a huge loan.
Tie up your shit. Yeah. Like you're strapped, you're so forced to making that work. And it also takes away from like the little bits of freedom that we have as entrepreneurs. Like, you know what? I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Like, no, you can't rent my space. But if you're out there, you have to rent that space.
Right.
You're really committing to, and there is one for sure downtown that has the all white room with the water view.
Oh, on the waterfront,
but everybody's podcast is filmed there.
It's filmed there. Yeah.
So there's one, but obviously like they stay busy.
That's just podcasting though.
Just podcasting. So, yeah. You don't have the like. So I have done and like full business, like entrepreneur bookkeeping workshops in the whole lower level of my house. Like we have tons of seating. We filled the place, free workshops.
Are you allowed to do that?
I fucking did.
You just did it.
I just did it.
I love the whole, fuck, I'm just going to do it. And then if somebody,
around and find out. Like,
if someone says that I can't, I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
It's done. That's good because we have a community room down here. Like that's,
oh my God.
This is actually really, I love this because it's making me think too that, like I love this space right here. I have people in. I already got people scheduled in. We got like 4 or 5 guests coming in. So it's great. Yeah. So people are working. And from hearing what you're saying, like you're actually running like the business and you have employees working in your place and you have people coming in. So
5 workstations like in our office in our house and it's upstairs. So these people see like my bedroom, like we keep the house really neat. But I did it until like we really couldn't do that anymore. Like I have a lot of real estate agent clients and they're like, you don't get in trouble for us coming here. I'm like, not yet, but shut up. Like don't ruin it for me. But I knew eventually a client and another tenant in the building got in an argument over a parking spot. I was like, oh God, like that's a big no-no. Right. Like I apologize to the tenant, the landlord, like everybody I could find to apologize to. I did. But
sending flowers and
but that it was already on my radar that I knew we needed to get out of the house. And we're doing, multiple 6 figures. I didn't need to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I never thought like I have to get a loan for this. What you want to do, I wouldn't get a loan for at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
I would outgrow this space, maximize, like you've chosen to work from home. So work from home and it gets uncomfortable.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I mean,
I've had my kids, your kids are older. I've had my like kids like run across the screen in a diaper. Like
my kids they kind of stay away anyways too, which is kind of nice because they're doing their own thing. Yeah. But I love working from home. This is one of the reasons why I love doing what I do because it's like
to do
Oh, thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate that. So why not just stay? The only thing, like I said, I was thinking of is
community room. I would have exploited the shit out of that.
Yeah, I didn't think because we do have something.
I'm having a party. No, I'm not. I'm having a whole networking session or a training session. Like I can, if you guys are respectful and nobody ruins the space, they're gonna leave you alone.
Yeah,
they really will.
Yeah, it's good to know because we do have something in the lease, but maybe I should look at it more clearly. But it's like, you can't run. Just saying, like you can't run like your business in here. So I think that's like
that's
if you're doing
different.
like a hair salon or whatever, right? You're constantly having people coming in because they're cutting hair. But
I would class it as a meeting,
exactly,
versus running your business. That what's the difference between a meeting and a gathering? And I would stretch that wording all the way.
No, absolutely, that makes perfect sense. So then, in this context, if I was to say like if other people wanted to record a podcast, then even that it's in an apartment building, that's okay. It's like you said,
Bro,
people.
they had to go upstairs in my house and sit in a room where 5 other people were and talk about their most delicate,
Yeah.
embarrassing, fragile tax matters.
Yeah, and their
to
ego
me.
shattered. And
Yeah. We even had like a protocol. Like every now and again, like I get someone who comes in and they're suicidal. And they're like, I was going to drive here or to the bridge or here or jump off my balcony this morning. And like, we had a protocol. When that happens, leave the room. Everybody leave the room. And someone stays outside the door with me to make sure that we're both safe. And if it escalates, like if we need to like call for a wellness check or whatever, like, but that shit, like, there's nothing I could do. This is a space I have. I can't control that. That's what you said, but I'm just making an extreme point to say like, it isn't like, you know, to maximize what you have before. And like, we've had many uncomfortable situations, but one thing that did happen was I always got paid and my team always got paid because we stretched everything we had as far as we could for as long as we could.
Yeah.
And I really believe in bootstrapping, but I'm not saying no to loans, just not for this yet.
Yeah. Okay. So your advice to me, it sounds like, is just keep going where you're going. You're trying to do this pivot. Just stay within this space. If you don't need any money, then why stretch yourself too thin right now and then see.
You're not maxed out here. You're not maxed out here.
Yeah.
So you can't go anywhere. You got to max out where you are first.
Yeah. Okay. That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So just maybe to wrap things up here. So I didn't ask you if you have any time limits or whatever, but
go ahead.
I guess we can.
We went on.
We can.
We're good.
Oh, it's only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. If you could go back to like your younger self and give yourself like that one piece of advice to maybe, I don't know, maybe help you understand things a little more clearly, what would that be?
Yeah. Do you know what? I think the thing that comes up for me is that the number one skill set to be an entrepreneur, in my opinion, is confidence. And life beat me up along the way a lot. You know, I had an absentee dad. My mom had me very young. She had chose real shitty men after my dad too. So then, you know, things with school, my grades weren't good. And I chose terrible like life partners until my husband, honestly. So like, bosses were terrible. Like so many things beat you up along the way. And the confidence piece, like, honestly, I didn't come into like genuine, pure, like believe in myself, unfuck with ability till like 2 years ago. I'm 41. So if I could figure out a way to let the world affect me a little less when I was younger, I would have got here sooner. But that self-love and confidence piece, like above everything, is to me the number one thing as to why I get knocked down and I get back up so much. So confidence is like, it's everything.
Do you think that your lack of confidence growing up made you to go into those situations where you had bad partners? Or
It did. Because I didn't like, it's confidence and self-worth, right? Like I believed that you know, my dad not being around was my fault. Like there's like a specific incident. I told him the wrong time. I was 8 years old. I told him the wrong time that school started, and I'd bumped into him randomly. Like it wasn't even like I was supposed to be with him at that time. He drove by me, and I told him school starts at 1:30 because he offered me a ride back to school after my lunch program, and it didn't. It started at 1. And I believed, because I said the wrong time for years and years and years, that was my fault. And it was the starting point to him being so absent in my life. I found a way to blame myself for, you know, how he treated me. And then that would go on with every relationship, like every, you know, my like with my mom, she's just a colder person. Like I don't ever remember ever hugging her, but she's also one of my best friends. Like she's a sounding board. But some of those little things that you need that you don't get, then I found a way to be like, well, it must be me. It must be me. So every way, every situation, every bad thing, I beat myself up over and over and over. But without all of that, I am not here. So that shit, it goes one of two ways. You overcome it or it overcomes you. And luckily I beat it all, but I am not here without it. So there's that piece too, right?
It's that double-edged sword. It's like, I hate everything. I hate those things that happen to me, but it made me who I am.
Yeah.
Do you,
So
what do you do?
yeah, it's wild. So
Yeah.
I
That must have been tough though. It sounds like that would have been pretty hard to
yeah.
deal with.
Oh no, all of it. Like you just like you when I met my husband, like I was not ready for like someone who just like purely, truly, unconditionally loved you. And I wrote a post about him recently, and in it I said, when he got the job at the Raptors, I just made a joke. And he didn't think it was at all funny. And I said, so like, are we separating? Like, what's the plan? And he, in all dead ass seriousness, like no smile, no nothing. And he just looked me dead in my eyes and he said, I've told you from day one, the only way out of this for you is death. And to me, that's like the safest place in the world. Like he means that, like he needs me and he loves me. Like that piece, that part, like I wasn't ready. Like I was standoffish and hard and cold and like waiting for him to do something crazy to me because it had always happened that way.
You always assume that something bad is going to happen,
sure.
or this person can't be like this. Like that's not, you've never experienced that. Yeah.
No, at our wedding, his best man gave a speech that I wouldn't understand until like years later, and he said, "I'm so happy," because Ming's an immigrant, right? He lived in New York and Baltimore and St. John's and Halifax. Like he'd been all over the place, Africa. Like he's really been all over the place. And the line in the speech was, "I'm so glad he's found his home." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And then later on, I would like kind of come to feel like or think that he meant that I was Ming's home. And I said that to Ming on like one of our anniversaries, and he was like, duh. Like, what do you mean? He goes, I don't give a fuck about this apartment.
It's like, yeah, of course.
He's like, you and to know like I'm someone's safe place and they're mine, like that just that stability and that peace like is what allowed me to like heal from all of the shit and then be, you know, what I consider a bit of a beast of an entrepreneur now. So yeah, the emotional piece, you got to deal with all of it to come out on the other side and win this game.
That's amazing. I mean, you certainly are a beast, and I'm loving everything that you're doing, and I know the things that you are going to do are going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute pleasure talking with you today. Awesome. And I'm just really looking forward to what comes next for you. And is there any place that you want to tell anybody to go check you out on social media?
Oh my God. You want me to be the like, comment, subscribe,
share
girl?
No, not that. Don't subscribe, none of that stuff. No, just, I mean, in terms of like your social media or whatever.
Yeah, obviously like, especially where I'm, you know, stepping away from a place that people know they could always access me just by like registering for a course. And we're talking like thousands of people have come through those doors at this point. Really like the only place to see what's coming next is going to be like, I fucking hate LinkedIn. I can't lie. Yeah. It's Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right.
Mrs. Folahan, mrs.folahan for Instagram and Stephanie Folahan for Facebook.
Perfect. Awesome. Stephanie,
thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.